the big story on this Friday. NFL Network's Ian Rappaport had it first. The Panthers acquire the number 1 overall pick from the Chicago Bears in exchange for DJ Moore, the wide receiver DJ Moore, the 9th overall pick in this draft, a 2023 second-round pick, so their first and second-round pick in this draft, a 2024 first-round pick, so next year's number 1, and a 2025 second-round pick. So DJ Moore, DJ Moore, they move, basically the Bears move from 1 to 9, and for it, pick up DJ Moore, a 2023 second, a 2024 first, and a 2025 second. What do you think of the trade? It's a bonanza. And who do you think the Panthers want? And their brand new head coach, Frank Reich, who does he want? Is it C.J. Stroud? Is it Bryce Young? Is it the Kentucky kid? Who do you think the Panthers want?
Yeah, I tweeted right after the trade happened. I think this is a C.J. Stroud trade, 100%. I don't think you can trade that much. I don't think C.J. Stroud is the best quarterback in this draft. I think it's Bryce Young. But I don't think you can trade that much to go get him when that size is just such a anomaly. I understand that he's such a good football player, but the size is just such an anomaly. I thought it was a crazy trade, to be honest with you, Larry. I didn't think any of these quarterbacks were worthy of that kind of trade. I felt like there was enough questions with all of them that I would kind of just wait and see which one fell. Right? Richardson is maybe the freakiest quarterback we've seen since Josh Allen, but there's some issues with his accuracy playing from the pocket, but the athleticism's off the charts. There's an instinctive feel in terms of where people are in the pocket and his ability to manipulate the pocket. And when it's right, he shows the ability to even process it late in the down and find the right spot to go with the ball and throw it accurately. But there's questions. Levis, to me, his inside the pocket mobility is a question to me. And obviously all the turnovers, he was rather turnover prone at Kentucky. Stroud, it was all clean pockets at Ohio State, and I felt like he didn't necessarily handle pressure that well. And I felt like even in clean pockets, he didn't step up that well. Now, it was better in 2021 how he managed the pocket and all of that. But for a quarterback you're giving up that much to take number 1 overall, I don't know. And then Young, to me, is the best quarterback in the draft. Everything about his game is off the charts. It's just that he is the littlest guy we're seeing. And so I think it's kind of a crazy trade. I'm shocked they made it. And I think the Bears got an absolute haul. I think DJ Moore, I think the Bears were trying to trade a first-round pick for DJ Moore a little whiles back, or somebody was. And so that was a nice deal for them. They got their version of the first-round pick for Stephon Diggs or the first-round pick for A.J. Brown so Justin Fields could make his jump. And then I thought the haul was great. And to stay at 9, Larry, especially in a draft where after the top 15 guys, it does the difference between number 16 and number 50 is not that drastic. You want to stay in this top 15 when you're making a draft because you still want to get a premium, big-time football player. And that's where I think the Bears absolutely killed it. And I'm kind of pissed off because I don't like when the Bears do good things, but they did a very good thing here.
Yeah, I like it as well. DJ Moore could be a borderline number 1 receiver. I think he's been underutilized in Carolina. Here's the 2 questions I have, though. Are the Panthers, they kind of told everybody as soon as they made this trade that they may be willing to trade down from 1. So is it, do they want Bryce Young? Do they want C.J. Stroud? I think if they're willing to trade down from 1, I think they may want Will Levis.
Yeah, if that's true, that would be the case. I'm not going to believe that. I don't think you make the move to 1 without having a quarterback in mind. Now, the 49ers made the move a couple of years ago where they were still not exactly 100% sure on who they were going to take. They liked a few different guys there. But in the history of the NFL, when you make a move like this, a franchise-changing move, you know who you're making that move up. You're not making that move up for a spot. You're not making that move up for an asset. You're making that move for a player. And so they should, to me, if that report is true, Larry, then I think it's just horrible management of this situation by the Panthers. because you should have the quarterback you have in mind. And when you make the move up, you should have such conviction in the guy that you're willing to take him right there. So it could be Levis. That's a really, really interesting point. But if it is, and they're trying to trade back down, I think it's a very, very bizarre thing for Carolina to do. But we've seen, over the course of the last 3, 4, 5 years, teams are willing to be a little more outside the box with how they handle the quarterback position. Maybe they're mustering up the next genius move. I would say no. I think they have who they're taking in mind. And my best guess is, in terms of fit, everything, it's CJ Stroud.
It's interesting. I think it's a genius move by Carolina because I think Carolina knows that the Texans sit at 2 and that they probably have a preference. And if they want, Bryce Young, then maybe you could squeeze something out of them without really moving at all. Then you've got Indianapolis sitting at 4, and they may want to jump up. And I think if I'm Carolina, I think I trade back to 4 and take Levis right there. I really believe that. I think.
So you think it's Levis? That's why they want to trade back.
I think it's Levis, and then I think I really know who the Bears want as well. Who do you think the Bears want at 9?
Whoever is there of those edge rushers, those top of the draft edge rushers. So I think Will Anderson will most likely be gone. Tyree Wilson will probably be gone too. But the third guy, the Clemson guy, one of those guys up in there, I'm assuming, and possibly Jalen Carter, right? That's the guy we don't know. I'm trying to really imagine what's going on with this situation and how that's going to affect his draft stock, right? The only time I can see a number one, I remember like a consensus number 1 player in the draft having a character concern that dropped them was Laremy Tunsil. Remember, he had the gas mask bong, and he dropped to 13 on the day of the draft, right? The Ravens took Ronnie Stanley over him. And Laremy Tunsil, he's one of the 5, 6, 7 best tackles in football now. But when he was coming out, especially in that draft, it looked like a no-brainer that Laremy Tunsil was the best player in that draft. And so I think this is pretty similar. Obviously, I don't know how what he did is weighed. I don't know, what's the consequences even for what he did and all of that. But I don't know where he's going to fall, Larry. And if you're the Bears and you're at 9 and you've already accumulated these extra assets, do you take a chance on a guy that's easily the most talented player to come out of the Georgia defensive line in the last 2 years? And we're talking about a defensive line that just sent Devontae Wyatt, Jordan Davis, and Trayvon Walker to the NFL, and they were all drafted in the first 30 picks in the draft.
Let me tell you what I think Ryan Poles has cooking here. Ryan Poles, the young GM of the Chicago Bears, I think he trades down from 1 to 9 because they didn't want to take the quarterback. They have their quarterback. They have their quarterback. It's Justin Fields. They needed to do 2 things. When you have your franchise quarterback, you need to do 2 things. Get him some weapons. Last year, they traded for Claypool. Today, they trade for DJ Moore, and protect him. And I think the Bears at 9 are going to take the Northwestern offensive tackle, Pete Skoronski.
Really?
Yes. I think they want Skoronski. He's a Chicago, he played at Northwestern. I think he's the best.
Is he a guard or a tackle?
He's a tackle. He's a tackle.
He's a tackle to you?
And there's some people speculating Paris Johnson Jr. from Ohio State, but I think this move is about Pete Skoronski. And now you can look your fan. Last year, you've done all the speculation about what you're going to do with the quarterback. Now you got Justin Fields. Now there's no doubt you're going to stay with Fields. And now you're giving Fields a couple receivers in Claypool and Moore. And now he's getting a blue chip, pass protector in Skoronski. I think that's what that's about. And I think it may impact the Niners. Not that the Niners are bringing back McGlinchey either way, because I don't believe that. But McGlinchey to the Bears in free agency may not be happening if I'm reading this right. If the Bears traded from 1 to 9 and they're going to take Pete Skoronski, I doubt they're going to invest big money in free agency and Mike McGlinchey. I still think McGlinchey's going to get paid beyond the Niners means, and he'll leave day one. But he may not be going to Chicago after all.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Interesting that you went Skoronski. I have not watched him, so I don't know, but I did see some people that I do know evaluate offensive linemen very well were questioning his overall outlook as a tackle in the NFL. But I'd also trust your word on it if you look at him as a tackle. I know the Oklahoma guy, a few guys that I know are very, very good at evaluating offensive linemen really like him and his potential as a pass protector. I don't know how you look at him, Larry, but I do think what you said logically lines up, right? In terms of, you're right. If you're going back to 9, you already got your number one receiver. Go shore up your offensive lineman now. Maybe sign an offensive lineman. It won't be Mike McGlinchey. I agree with you if they go tackle at 9, but it will be maybe somebody on the interior. And now you have all of a sudden a very young and explosive and talented offense, because Claypool, DJ Moore, and Darnell Mooney is actually a very, very decent trio. And we can't forget good old Dante Pettis, who's still hiding at the bottom of that depth chart. So they got a stud there. I'm messing, but yeah.